What's up, guys? And inside of today's video, I'm going to talk about the only time that your kids should move back to the family farm operation.
What's up, everyone? My name is Jace Young. I'm the founder of a company called Legacy Farmer, and inside of that company, what we do is we've helped over 300 family farms simplify and streamline the entire financial side of their operation and help them learn their numbers at a deep level so that they can implement the systems and the processes to make sure that their operation lives on for generations into the future.
Now, this is a delicate and valuable topic for everybody inside of the farming and ranching industry because we're all in this because we want to build something and leave something for the next generation, right? You go out and you've worked for 12 to 18 hour days for basically your entire life, hoping to push everything that you're building onto the next generation, right? Be able to carry that forward and carry that legacy forward. And maybe your granddad or your great granddad or whoever did the same thing for you. And as farmers and ranchers, we want to carry on this legacy. And I think that's true for anybody in any industry. But with farming and ranching, it just seems like there's a lot more meaning to that, if you know what I mean now. And what I want to talk about today is just the only times you should really have your kids come back to the farm operation. Now, this comes up a lot inside of Legacy Farmer with our community of 300 plus farmers and ranchers from all across the country. And we're constantly talking about how do we leave things on for the next generation. And when they come into our network, you know, we're helping them get everything organized, simplified, and streamlined financially and across the entire business as well. And so inside of that conversation, obviously legacy planning comes up into it. And one of the common questions is, how do I get my kids involved in the operation? How do I bring them back? And some of the things I'm going to tell you today may not be what you want to hear, but I'm going to have you consider that they're exactly what you need to hear, okay? Because a lot of, you know, moms and dads that are running family farm operations today, they want the kids to come back, okay? And the problem is that we want them to come back, and when we're telling them to come back, typically we're making that decision based on emotion, right? We want our kids around. They go to college or whatever. We want them back on the operation, especially if they have any interest at all, because at the end of the day, we still want our kids to carry on our life's work and everything like that. But we want our kids back if we possibly can make that happen. Now, the problem is, though, is that when it comes to making emotional decisions and then making financial decisions, the problem is when it comes to having your kids come back to the farm operation, 95% of the time, that's an emotional decision, right? Without considering the financial impacts and whether or not the business can actually support it. Because here's what happens, right? Mom and dad go out, start a family farm operation, or maybe they take it over from the generation before. They have 3 kids and they are able to support their family, right? With just their 3 kids, let's call it 3 sons, with the income and revenue from the current family farm operation. Now, the problem comes and presents itself when those 3 boys want to come back to the farm operation. Now, what typically happens for a majority of farmers or ranchers across the country is that the 3 kids come back, and now you have one farm, one revenue source that used to just support one family is now expected to support 4 families, right? Your parents plus all of your siblings and everybody involved inside of the operation, right? And a majority of farmers and ranchers, they can't support this. This is not sustainable. This will not work out long term. And it'll cause a lot of frustration. It'll cause a lot of fights because now you're involving family and money, especially. I mean, that there's just a world of problems that will be opened up there. And we've talked about this with all of our members too. All of them have experience with this, guys, or they know somebody that has directly dealt with this, and sometimes it destroys the family, right? Sometimes it really does destroy the family. So here is what we talk about inside of Legacy Farmer. This is kind of the solution here. If you have a child that wants to come back to the farm operation and they want to be involved, they want ownership long term, they want to inherit assets and things like that, then one of the requirements, guys, coming back is they have to come back and they have to add something to the operation. Okay, not just being a farmhand, not going out and running the tractor, not going out and running the combine, not going out and taking care of the cattle. They have to bring back some additional source of revenue to the operation. Now, there's multiple reasons as to why. I mean, the biggest one is there's got to be more revenue to support more families coming back now, right? And your son or daughter who's coming back to the operation, they should probably be able to support themselves. They probably need to be able to support themselves. But what I'm telling you, though, is having that as a requirement, making them saying, hey, we want you to come back. Okay, but the reality is this family farm operation right now, it can support one family. Okay, it cannot support your family. and your brother or sister and your other brother or sister. It cannot do that. So we cannot afford to have all of you come back. And that's the biggest mistake a lot of family farms make today, is they have all their kids come back. Again, they're making that decision with 95% emotion without considering the financial consequences that can happen inside of the operation. And so the rule should be, or at least I'm not telling you it should be, I'm telling you consider this. Okay, that's all I'm saying, is just consider this. That the only way that you can come back and be a part of the operation and earn long-term equity in the operation and earn your share of the operation when our generation does pass on is you have to bring back something with you. Meaning you have to bring back a source of revenue. You have to bring back a source of value. You have to bring back a business that is going to help support, expand, and grow the family farm operation, because at the end of the day, we cannot have you relying on the income coming from the primary farm operation that only supports one family, your parents, right? You as the child or whatever coming back to the operation, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, okay? And guys, I talk about it all the time in some of my other videos and everything as well. I'm so grateful that I didn't have our feed yard to run back to, right? Those of you watching this video the first time, go watch some of the other videos, because you're gonna see that our family farm operation, built by my granddad, supported his 5 kids and their families, ultimately went bankrupt, okay? And during that time, was there any additional sources of revenue that were brought back to the business? No, right? And so things went sideways. I was in high school, watched the financial collapse of everything, was with my parents when they got kicked out of their house, lost everything, filed bankruptcy, been there, done that, right? But I'm so grateful for that experience because, one, it taught me that I was entitled to nothing, okay? Which some kids, let's be honest, some kids going back to the family farm operation, they're entitled as hell, and they think that they just deserve it because their last name is the same as yours or your granddad or your great-granddad who built and started the thing, so they think they're just entitled to it, which is completely wrong, and there's about a 95% chance that they will lose it one day because of that entitlement. But the other side of this too is if they come back and they add in this additional source of revenue, one, they don't need the primary income from the primary farm operation, which is great. They can stand on their own 2 feet. But I'm telling you to put your kids through that experience and make them go through it, because through that experience, they will learn so much about building a business. They will learn so much about every angle of building that business when it comes to, well, if it's a service-based business, for example, marketing, advertising, taking care of their customers and high quality customer service, their finances, taxes, everything across the board. They're going to have to learn business through and through. And there's no better way to get a degree in business than by doing business. College does not teach you business. I have a business management degree. It did not teach me anything about what it takes to run a business, a successful business, not only run, but build it from the ground zero. Did not teach me anything about doing that in today's modern age. So having your kids go through this, yes, they are going to bring back additional revenue. Great. I am more focused on the skills that they will acquire in having to go build their own thing. And they are going to appreciate it and value it that much more. And that's a big thing, because if they value something that's theirs, how much more comfortable now are you going to be as the parent passing on assets to them for them to carry on to the next generation? How much more likely are they going to respect those assets and what it took to create them? So we're teaching them so many lessons by doing this. And we're setting the next generation up for success, guys. And the biggest reason as to why family farm operations fail at the second or third generation, primarily the third generation, is because those skills and those mindsets and that knowledge and that wisdom around what it took to create it, and the financial, just principles that are in place that you learn when you have to build it from nothing, those skill sets and that knowledge and that wisdom dies off as the generations go on. And that's why the third generation, they ultimately lose it, because they don't have the principles and they don't really respect what it is that they're carrying on, because they didn't have to create it. They didn't have to go the months of sleepless nights worrying about making a land payment, right? They were just handed 1,000 acres. Didn't have to worry about it. Okay. But you can guarantee those 1,000 acres were earned by blood, sweat, and tears, years of it. Right. So what we want to do is by forcing them to come back and bring something with them. Yes, we want the revenue. 2, we want them to learn what it takes to build, maintain, and grow a successful business, right? And be able to stand on their own 2 feet. 3, we want them to value what they are being given, right? Because you are essentially passing on the torch, and it could be a 3rd, 4th, or 5th generation torch that you're passing on. You want to make sure that they are set up for success and that they're going to respect it, that they are going to be careful with the decisions that they're making, and that they have the skill sets and knowledge and wisdom to make sure that that thing stays together, right? Because, and this is a common scenario, right? If you have 3 children, one comes back, spends time on the operation and wants to take it over. You have 2 that move into the city or move away and do something completely different with their life. That's what I'm saying, guys. You should make it a requirement or consider making a requirement that, hey, the only way that you get access to this wealth and everything that we're passing on to the next generation is you have to bring something back to the operation. You have to contribute here. And there should be a time frame on it as well. I'm going to have you consider that. Minimum 5 years. You don't get to come back for 1 or 2 years and then leave and go do something, but all of a sudden now you get 15% of the assets or 20% of the assets. It shouldn't work that way. That's not fair. And ultimately, the way I look at it is you're setting your kids up for failure. Because again, they're going to inherit these assets. If you're just going to be, too emotional with it and think all your kids deserve an equal share, you pass on 25% to one of the siblings that did not come back and did not sacrifice years to be on the family farm operation. They are not going to respect the 25% you just gave them. They won't. Long term, they're looking for cash. Most of the kids nowadays, if they don't have anything to do with the farm operation, but they inherited, their share of the assets, guess what they're doing? They're selling. They want the cash, right? So make sure that you're doing this fairly. And this is tough as a parent. I get that too, because you want all your kids to get along. You want to be fair. Well, fairness is earned, guys. Fairness, you want me to be fair, you better earn your fairness with me, right? And it should be the same way. And that's what, again, why I go back to, I'm so grateful that I did not have our family feed yard and farm operation come back to, because I would not know near as much as what I do today about business and everything involved there, right? Everything involved there. And I'm so much more set up for success now long-term with the skill sets, mindsets, and wisdom I've acquired over 6-7 years of being an entrepreneur than I would have ever acquired going back and just working on the family farm operation. Now, if my granddad or my father would have said, hey, Jace, we want you to come back, but you have to bring some source of revenue, otherwise you can't come back. You need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet without the support of the farm operation, or you can't come back. Then then I would have had to go through and I'd have to really think through, okay, is this really what I want? Is this what I want to be doing? And then 2, how can I make this happen? I got to go build a business. I got to learn all these things when it comes to building a business, entity structure, team management, systems and processes across the board, everything financial, tax planning, legacy planning, how the banks work and operate, and what's my position with the bank. Like, I have to go through the earned path of learning those skill sets, right? And truly understanding what it takes to build something. So guys, I just share this with you because it's come up a lot with our members and everything. And it's something everybody's trying to figure out and solve. And the path I'm asking you to consider, it's not the easy one, but deep down, it's probably the right one, because you're really setting your kids up for success by forcing them to learn the lessons to make sure that the wealth that you're passing on to them, right? They appreciate it. They understand what it took to create it. They're going to be careful with it. They understand all the numbers across the board, and they respect it. And that, at the end of the day, that's what we want, right? We want to make sure that we're passing on the right lessons and the knowledge and the wisdom and the skill sets to make sure that everything that we're working for today lives on for multiple generations, right? Now, the thing is you can pass on the assets from generation to generation, but if you don't pass on the wisdom, the knowledge, the skill sets, and everything in between, those assets are going to dwindle, and they're going to slowly get less and less with every generation until it amounts to nothing. I don't want that. I know you don't want that. So consider a different approach when you're talking about bringing kids back to the operation and setting some different standards that are going to set them up for success long term. So my friends, long video today, but a very valuable and important topic. Again, we cover this a lot inside of Legacy Farmer. All of our members are family farm operations that want to build a sustainable business that their kids can come back and take over, but we're just trying to navigate it and figure out the best way to do it. So my friends, hope you found today's video valuable, and we'll catch you in the next one.